Well, hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're ready for a Friday lesson about common sounds. Hopefully, all of the technology is working the way it's supposed to. Let me just say hi to Hafiez for a sec. There we go. We'll be starting in about 28 seconds. So hopefully you're ready for that. I feel like the audio sounds a little tinny, but maybe that's just my ears from spending so much time in school this week around loud, noisy. No, they weren't that bad. The students were pretty good, actually. We'll start in 8 seconds on this lesson about common sounds. I think it will be a lesson that you enjoy. Well, hello and welcome to this English lesson about common sounds. Let's admit that we live in a loud world. This is a world where you can't really go through your day without hearing things all the time. I even hear things when I don't want to hear things. Earlier, I gave the example of I was in the middle of taking a nap when a dog started barking. Those are the kinds of sounds I'm going to talk about today. The sounds of car horns, the sounds of dogs barking, and those kinds of things. I will try to do some sound effects along the way, but mostly I will just talk about the sound, the name of the sound, the word we use to talk about that sound, and then as well the phrase we use to refer to that sound, the most common way we talk about that sound in English. So once again, welcome to this English lesson about common sounds. I think you'll enjoy it. I think you'll learn some new words and phrases. Hey, before we get started, I do want to say hi to everybody. Hi to Haki and Mode Eggs and Zizon and Diligent Learning, Andres, Kevin, Freddie Wolf, Unibai, Freddie Wolf again. I'm going to say hi twice. Freddie gets a double hi. Tomic, Burgit, Ulia, Ralph. Let me scroll back. Wanda's here. Hafiez. Let me see. I said Burgit, right? Cat Diary is here as well. I think I'm forgetting somebody, but I can't remember who. Hi to Vitor and Unsel and all of the regulars and all of the people who are new. I hope you enjoyed this English lesson. It's been a while since I've done a lesson where I've done lots of sound effects. No, I'm just kidding. We'll see how this goes this morning. As you can see, maybe I'm a little worse for wear. I'm not sick or anything. I'm just worn out a little bit. We only had 3 days of school this week, but you know, in the summer, I don't use my brain or my voice as much as I do when, I mean, obviously when the school year starts, I talk a lot more. And obviously when the school year starts, I have to think a lot more. So hopefully I can keep it together for this lesson. Hopefully I can put together a good lesson for you. Hey, do remember there is a link in the description below if you want to ask a question. I'm sure there's already some questions coming in. Yes, there is. Very cool to see. And if you want to use the chat for good English conversations, that's awesome. But just so you know, if you ask questions in the chat, I usually don't look over to the chat to see what people are asking. Let me see. I think, did I do everything? I'm recording the lesson. Check. I checked the audio. Check. Sounds like it's working. What else do I normally do? Greet everyone. Check. Let's get the lesson started. It's a bit of a shorter lesson today, about 25 words. So we'll probably be done in about 45 minutes, which is good because even though I don't teach today, I do have to go to work later. We do kind of have an end of the week special day today. So here we go. No students, just teachers. A phone ringing. So this is probably a very common sound. I think that this was a sound you only heard at home many years ago, but now you might hear this anywhere, and you'll hear a number of different ringtones. So people set their phone to make a different sound when it rings. But if I was to say, oh, I was walking through the mall and all of the sudden I heard a phone ringing or a phone started to ring, those would be the phrases we would use to talk about that. It's not very nice when you hear a phone ringing in a movie theater. That's my least favorite place. I also don't enjoy hearing a phone ringing if I'm on a walk in the park when I'm trying to relax. It's a very annoying sound. But Probably one of the most common sounds that you might hear right now is the sound of a phone ringing. Water running. This is my least favorite sound. This means someone didn't turn off the tap. This means someone brushed their teeth and they just left the water running, and I hear the sound of water running. Oh, I haven't made any sound effects yet, have I? The sound of water running is like, that's not a very good impression of water running, but I think you get the point. I don't like to waste water. Water isn't free for me. Well, it sort of is because it comes from the sky, like rainwater goes in our cistern. But my biggest worry is when someone flushes a toilet and the toilet is running through. That means it hasn't closed and filled the tank again. And that's not a nice sound because you hear water running and you're like, what is that? Oh, it's the toilet running through. Go stop it. If I left the water running for a whole day, we would empty our cistern. Not quite. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but that could happen. A knock at the door. This is actually something I don't enjoy. I don't enjoy hearing a knock at the door when I'm doing something. I don't mind when people come over. I do like it when people call first. I like to hear my phone ring and then hear someone say, hey, can I pop by in a sec? I want to drop off something. And then later hear a knock at the door. Notice the phrasing on this. So you might say, oh, I heard a person knocking at the door, but this is definitely how I would say it. I heard a knock at the door. I was having a nap and then I heard a knock at the door. It was the mailman with a package for me. So a knock at the door, obviously I don't have to make the sound. We all know what it sounds like. And you could probably all do it right now. In fact, if you want to remember the word, you say a knock at the door and make a knocking sound. A toilet being flushed. This is my least favorite sound when I am sleeping at night. Sometimes when I'm sleeping at night, I will hear someone use the washroom and then I will hear a toilet being flushed. You could in English say, I heard the flushing of a toilet, but that's not a very common way to say it. Some of these sounds I will say one way and other phrases go the other way. And I actually don't know why, but this is the common thing to say. Oh, I heard a toilet being flushed in the middle of the night. Who was up in the night flushing the toilet? And what does that sound like? It's like, that's the sound of a toilet being flushed. Hopefully that sound effect came through better than how it sounded in my ears. An alarm clock going off. So I don't have this style of alarm clock that goes ring. I have the style of alarm clock that goes beep, 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 beep. It's a really annoying sound. In fact, I actually prefer to wake up on my own. I prefer to just wake up because it's light outside and because I've had enough sleep. I don't actually enjoy hearing an alarm clock going off. So at night you set your alarm. In the morning your alarm clock will go off. That's the phrase we use in English to talk about the sound that an alarm clock makes. I did not get up this early this morning. I got up at 6:30 and right now it's 7:37. So I've been up for a little over an hour. I heard my alarm clock going off at 6:30. I did hit snooze once. And then I did get up. So I guess technically I got up at 6:37. A door closing, a door being slammed. Slight difference here. When you hear a door close, it just goes. So it's just a slight sound if you don't have the hinges oiled. And then you just hear a little click at the end. A door being slammed, though, sounds like probably even louder than that. People normally just close doors. So you would hear a door closing because someone wanted the door closed and they moved it until it was shut. But sometimes people are angry. I was happy that I was able to find a graphic that shows this. Sometimes people are angry and they slam the door. They use a lot of strength and they kind of take out their anger on the door. And then it's just like, the door just slams super hard and makes a really, really loud noise. I like to close my doors. If you were to be in the same building as me, you would hear a door closing when I close the door. You would not hear a door being slammed. Certainly not. Besides, it kind of wrecks the door a little bit if you do that. A doorbell ringing. So you can hear a knock at the door. You can also hear a doorbell ringing or the doorbell ringing. So I would say something like this. I was washing the dishes and then I heard the doorbell ringing, and it was the food delivery service with the food. This actually never happens here because no one delivers food this far out in the country. But when you hear a doorbell ringing, you go and you answer the door. And a doorbell is usually like the typical ding dong. Like it's the typical one chime and then another here. Like I actually don't have a doorbell right now. When our doorbell was working, it would be like ding dong. That would be the sound we would hear if someone was ringing our doorbell. And often when I would hear the doorbell ring, it would be someone delivering something. That was probably the most common situation when I would hear that. Hey, let's do some questions. It's about a minute early, but I need a sip of water. Let's see. Mode says, we had a psycho guy in the unit who had the sound of knocking on a door as their alarm tune. Yeah, that would not be good. It'd be like, and then you would open your, yeah, not fun. By the way, I was worried when I made the door knocking sound that the dogs would start barking. I have the window open, but they didn't. Diligent Learning says, Ron slammed the door and it shattered. Good example sentence. Ralph says, don't know how often I've screamed, don't slam the door towards our daughter. Yes. And then John says, ding dong. Okay, let's get to a question. Let's see. Vitor, do you use a denoiser when you are doing a live stream? Does your recording software have this feature for live streams? Your room looks quite quiet though. I just have a good camera. Now there are two types of noise. There's noise in the image, but I just have a really good camera for this live stream. And then in terms of how the audio sounds, I should check the audio for a second. I do think I run some sort of filter on the microphone to take out like clicks and pops a little bit. So that's all. I hope that answers your question. From Denis, good morning. Wow, Bob makes funny noises. That sounds great. A joke for James Bond fans. What does 007's doorbell sound like? Dong, ding dong. Now I'll explain the joke. When you ask James Bond his name, he says Bond, James Bond. So when a doorbell rings, it goes ding dong. So when his doorbell rings, it goes dong, ding dong. The same way he introduces his name. That was a good joke, by the way. Ruslan says, hello, dear teacher Bob. How are you? I'm good. Feeling like not tired. How would you describe it? You know, when you do something different for a few days that you haven't been doing, that's how I feel. Frazzled? Maybe. What is your serenity sound and a song? So my serenity sound, so I think I said that wrong. My serenity sound would be like the sound of wind through the leaves of a tree. I do really like that sound. I can slightly hear it right now. You guys will hear it tomorrow. If I could do the live stream outside tomorrow, I didn't check the weather yet. I should check that. And a good song, you know, I like happy songs. U2 has a song called Beautiful Day. And I think the lyric is, it's a beautiful day. Don't let it slip away. I think I got the lyric slightly wrong, but it is a really, really good song. I'm going to check the weather for a second for tomorrow to see. Saturday, cloudy with 40% chance of showers, wind 20, gusting to 40. The wind might be a problem, but anyways, there is a live lesson tomorrow, 10 a.m. Question and answer lesson, and hopefully you could be there. Young says, hi Bob, or Jung, how are you? My question is, why do you think a dog's bark, roof, 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 or a cat's meow, 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 is heard differently in each country? I don't know. Oh, that's funny. The dogs did just start barking. I don't know why. We have different words, but the English word, sometimes we say like a dog goes ruff, ruff. That sounds more like a dog barking. The word bark, like bark, bark, that doesn't really sound like roof, roof, roof. And then meow is pretty much the same in a lot of languages. That some version of meow for a cat sound, but I'm not 100% sure why. Hafiz says cloudy with a chance of meatballs. By the way, that's a funny, I think it's a book and a movie. I remember my kids watched that. Ruslan says, yeah, the outdoor lesson, we're going to see the Lord of the Rings landscape, hopefully. I think even if it's spinning a little bit, I'll try to do it outside. Maybe I'll put a canopy up to stay dry. But yeah, it is the first Saturday mode, the first Saturday of September. So live stream outside. From Ahmed, do we need to understand all the details when you're talking to improve? No. In fact, that's one of the things you have to kind of measure. If you can understand what we call the gist of what I'm saying, if you can understand that, oh, Bob's talking about a dog barking, you don't have to understand every single word. The same is true for if you're reading a book. You don't have to understand every single word, but you have to understand enough to know what's happening in the story. And it's actually good to not understand everything. It's always good to understand 70 or 80 or 90% of what you're reading, because it means you'll probably learn some new words as well. From Pavel, hello, Teacher Bob. You're so good at managing department sounds of things. Cool. I'm really not a sound effects person, but maybe I will go to school for sound effects sometimes. So, a random Mexican, hello Bob, what's the difference between squeal and squeak? So a squeal is definitely louder. I'm going to try and make a squeal. It would be like, that's not very good. A squeak would be like, squeak, 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 squeak. So picture this. You will hear a pig squeal. You will hear a mouse squeak. When I hear the word squeal, I often think of a pig, a big farm animal. When I hear the word squeak, I think of a mouse. Different size animal, one sound is definitely louder and a little bit more annoying to hear, actually. Pig squealing is pretty strange. This is from Diligent Learning, a bit off topic. Bob, could you tell me the difference between form and shape? And I don't know the middle word. I don't even know if it's a word. But form and shape, it's interesting. It took, like, the ghost took a certain form. The ghost took a certain shape. Like if you were watching a movie with ghosts, in that situation, they are the same. If I had clay, I can form it a certain way. I can shape it a certain way. I can use them both as verbs. So I don't know. I would have to look that one up to get it. I was going to go back to the lesson, but we should do this from Nadim. What's the sound of a donkey? So a donkey, if you wonder why I put my hand up, I don't want to overdrive the mic, but a donkey is like, that would be the sound of a donkey. And now, just before we go back to the lesson, I want to hear my own sound effect. Let's see. That's not too bad. I think 8 out of 10 on the donkey sound. Let's see. Mode says, Bob the Canadian may not be good at singing, but he sure is darn good at doing different sound effects. The best of the business, I'd say. Thanks for the compliment. Let's get back to the lesson. Here we go. A smoke alarm going off. Jen and I woke up once to a smoke alarm going off, and it was not a nice thing, because when a smoke alarm goes off, when you hear it, it's so loud. It's a very loud, shrill sound. It's louder than an alarm clock. So it's like beep, 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 beep. It's an intense sound. It's shrill, and it definitely wakes you up. We woke up once to the smoke alarm going off, and it took us an hour to make sure there wasn't a fire in the house. So it's not just the fact that it wakes you up. It's the fact that you have to get your children out of the house, and you have to find out if there is a fire. There was no fire. We don't know why it went off. We think it was just acting strangely. We have a fire alarm or a smoke alarm on every floor of our house, and we had an extra one. So we brought the extra one into the same area, and it didn't go off. So we think the old smoke alarm went off simply because it was old. No fire. The house is still standing. It's hard to get back to sleep after you hear a smoke alarm go off. And by the way, I use smoke alarm, fire alarm. We kind of have two names. I think there's a third name, smoke detector. Yeah, that's another name for it. The whir of a fan. There's a fan running right here, but you can't hear it. But the whir of a fan would be like, it's a very constant sound. In English, we sometimes refer to it as white noise because it doesn't go up or down. It's just kind of like a background sound. Sorry, I just wanted to hear it. So the whir of a fan. When you turn a fan on, it starts to make a slight sound, and it basically, it's not an annoying sound. In fact, I have a fan running in my room when I sleep. Having a fan running helps me sleep at night. I think because the fan noise is somewhat pleasant and it can block out other noises. So instead of hearing someone flush the toilet or hearing someone downstairs in the kitchen, I just hear the sound of the fan. And I think I said white noise. White noise is simply a constant noise that isn't annoying, kind of like a background noise. So the whir of a fan. A car honking. I can't do a car honking, but it's like honk, honk. That. Okay, that's my worst one yet. But a car honking is annoying. You could say you heard a person honking the horn. You could say you heard a car honking. You could say you heard the honk of a car, but that sounds really cumbersome. We wouldn't say it that way. Like if I was writing a story, I might write, I was walking down the street and I heard the honk of a car. It sounds it's not informal enough. Does that make sense? So what I would say is, I was downtown today and I just heard a car honking nonstop. I don't know what was wrong. This guy was just laying on the horn and I just heard a car honking the whole time I was shopping at the store. So a car honking. Not a pleasant sound unless it's like a short, like beep, beep. So there's a difference between which means I'm annoyed with you, and beep, beep, which means hi. So I will sometimes when I drive by a neighbor's house, I will do the beep, beep, and then wave. Sometimes when someone cuts me off in traffic, I'll do the beep, like I'll lay on the horn. I don't know, did I use that phrase yet? You can lay on the horn and honk it to show that you are angry. A clock ticking. So this is less common now. I do remember as a child when I visited my grandparents. Every summer I would visit my grandparents and sleep over for a few days. And they had a really loud clock. And when I was trying to sleep, I would just hear. And it drove me crazy because in my house, there was no clock close to my bedroom that I could hear. Today, in today's day and age, most people have digital clocks, or they just have their phone, or they have their Fitbit or Apple Watch. So this type of clock, the kind of clock that ticks, has become a little more rare. You don't see them as often. But I used to have one in my classroom, and if you stood underneath it, you could just hear. And by the way, the sound is called, you can hear it like the tick-tock of a clock. Because usually it's like, it's two slightly different sounds. Is it though? Yeah, I think it is. I can't remember. I'll have to find an old clock later today and listen to it. A bird chirping. So I can't do a very good bird chirping, but it'd be like, that's not a bird chirping, is it? Maybe the whistle is a better thing. I don't know what kind of bird that is. That's the Bob the Canadian bird. This can be a pleasant sound if you want to wake up in the morning and your window is open. It can be an unpleasant sound if you want to sleep in and your window is open in the morning. Here, Jen and I hear birds starting to chirp around 5:30 a.m. It's usually about when the sun is starting to get up, come up. When it's starting to get light out, we start to hear birds chirping. I find the sound of a bird chirping quite pleasant. I do enjoy it. Some people, as I mentioned, might not if they're trying to sleep, but it certainly is nice. So I can do like a mourning dove, like that wouldn't really be a chirp. That's more of a coo. Like we have a bird called a mourning dove. It's like smaller than a pigeon, and it's not white like a regular dove. It's grayish brown, and that's the sound it makes. Footsteps on the floor. Have you ever lived in an apartment building? Some of you probably do live in apartment buildings, and sometimes you have a neighbor who lives above you who walks around and they have very heavy feet. It's like, and you just don't know, what is this guy going to walk around all day? I keep hearing footsteps on the floor above me. Not nice. Sometimes when I'm watching a baseball game in the room downstairs, the kids will be walking around upstairs and I'll hear footsteps on the floor and I'll say, hey, quiet down. I'm trying to watch the Blue Jays game. Stop slamming the door and stop running around. I keep hearing your footsteps on the floor. I'm happy that I don't live in an apartment building now. I have in the past lived in dormitories at university, and I have lived in a multi-story house where my room was on the second floor when I lived in Quebec City. And thankfully, I didn't hear my roommate above me very often. They weren't very loud. I didn't hear footsteps on the floor very often. A chair creaking. Is this the day my chair doesn't creak? Yeah, a couple weeks ago, the chair was creaking. Oh, there it goes. Hopefully that sound comes through on the video. We'll have to see. Oh yeah, you can kind of hear the chair creaking a little bit, but yes, old chairs, especially chairs that rotate and recline. Oh, that was a good creak. Can make a creaking sound. A creaking sound is like, it's like metal on metal, right? You hear kind of this little creak. Wood can also creak. It's a slightly different sound. I can't duplicate the sound, but yes, chairs can creak. Other things can creak as well, but I know I was teaching in a classroom last year with older desks, and the desks would actually creak if students moved a certain way. It was very distracting. It was not an enjoyable way to teach at all. But a chair creaking, that is a sound you might hear. A timer going off, similar to an alarm clock going off. Maybe you put some cookies in the oven, and then 8 minutes later, you just hear beep, 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 beep. A timer is something that you set. So you set the timer for 8 minutes, you hit start, you put your cookies in. Usually you put your cookies in first, and then you set the timer. And then 8 minutes later, you hear beep, 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 beep. Again, a very insistent sound, a repetitive sound, usually a high-pitched sound so that it travels and you can hear it, so that if you get distracted, you don't forget, because you don't want to burn the cookies. Should I do a lesson on common smells? Maybe I should do that next. The smell of cookies baking. Is that a common smell in your house or apartment? That would be a very fun thing to smell. But a timer going off. Beep, 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 beep. A car running. So you could say you hear an engine running. You could say that you hear a car running or a truck running. We don't often, you could say you hear an engine running. Yeah, I'm just trying to think. Like, I was sitting in my classroom and I heard a car running outside the window. Yeah, I would definitely say car. I hear a car running. When you put the key in a car, or when you push the start button, the engine turns over, and then eventually you have the sound of an engine. So you hear a car running. exhaust comes out the exhaust pipe, and then hopefully the person eventually drives away. When it's really hot, when you go to a mall or store, there's often vehicles in the parking lot, and you can hear that people have left their car running because sometimes someone's sitting in the car still. So sometimes a husband will drop off a wife, and the husband will sit in the car with the car running in order to keep the air conditioning working. And I think what's more common is parents sitting in their car with the car running, waiting for their teenager to be done work or to be done whatever they are doing. Hey, let's do some members only chat. Let's say hi to American English with Brent. Good to see you, Brent. I have a class to teach in 4 minutes. That was like 4 minutes ago. Brent's class probably starts at 8 a.m. Way too early for Canadian school. I don't know what's wrong with those American schools starting so early. In Canada, my school starts at 9. That's a much better time of day. Hi to John Wedge as well. Good to see you, John. The sound of frying butter or frying onion. Oh, the smell. Yeah, that does smell good too. Thanks for gifting the membership to Aaron. Very nice of you, Brent. And have a good day. Brett and I just started having initial talks about what we might do next summer. We'll have to see. It's still a secret because we don't know if we're actually going to do it, but I suggested a location that we might be able to both go to. That might be fun. We have to check out some details though, like are we allowed to record video there next July or August and those kinds of things. Anyways, members only chat time. If you are a member, please ask a question in the chat if you have one. I will keep answering these questions here. And if you are one of the 260 people watching, don't leave. I will start or get back to the lesson in about 8 or 9 minutes. So first question over here from Mario Bob, is a smoke alarm a required device in houses in Canada? Yes. As far as I know, I'm not sure if it's the law or if it's simply required so you can have insurance on the house. But we have a smoke alarm on each floor of our house. So we have 3 smoke alarms, one in the basement, one on the main floor, one upstairs. And we also have a carbon monoxide detector in the basement, and we have a carbon monoxide detector upstairs. So, and I think our insurance company requires that. I'm not sure if it's the law, but in order to have insurance on your house, you need to... Yeah, I'm going to skip the next one. Sorry, Bridget. It just looks too much like a bad word. Anyways, I don't... Oh, I did put it on the screen, didn't I? Let me just go back here. We'll leave that up on the screen. So, no, I'm not familiar with that word. Should I look it up to make sure it's not actually a bad word? It probably isn't. This is Bridget. Let me put it into Google. Oh, okay. It means cuckoo clock. Okay, we will totally put that up on the screen. Let's see here. I'm just translating it one more time. German, there we go, cuckoo clock. Okay, sorry, Bridget. I have to be careful sometimes. I don't know what things mean in other languages. So cuckoo apparently is cuckoo clock. So my grandparents had a cuckoo clock. It had 2 metal pine cones that were weights, and they would pull the chains and the pine cones would go up. My grandfather would do that once a day. And then every hour it would go like, cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. The little cuckoo bird would come out. I don't know. Did it go cuckoo once for every hour? I don't actually remember that. But yes, they had a cuckoo clock. It was pretty cool. Let me see here from the chat. John Wedge says, hey folks, don't forget to give a thumbs up. Thanks for that, John. Hafiez says, thumbs up to John Wedge. Lolly says, Bob, do you like the sound of the ocean or the sea? Yes. Like the sound of waves kind of hitting the shore and then going back. I do really, really like that. And it was fun when Brent and I went to the lighthouse in Maine. I can't remember what it's called now. It has a funny name, but I should remember it. It was nice to smell the ocean and see the ocean. Wanda says, hi, Teacher Bob. Do you like the sound of silence? Have you ever thought about that? Sometimes I love it. Thanks a lot. I like the sounds I hear when I go for a walk, but I don't like the sounds of cars going by. So I do walk along the road. But yes, I do love the sound. It's not silence though, is it? Like I like hearing grass moving in the wind. I like hearing leaves rustling. But complete silence, I don't know if I like complete silence. I think I like a little bit of sound. From Freddie Wolf. Hello, Brent. I'm going to meet this afternoon Sita, Anya, Danny, and Tanya, who are visiting my region. That's very cool. Brent has viewers who get together, so it's very awesome that they do that. Key Park says, hi, Bob. Sorry I'm late. No problem. I'm sure you had something more important to do. Ralph says, yeah, I don't want to say what I thought it looked like, but it probably doesn't. It has some of the same letters as a bad word. That's what I'll say. Hafiez says, Mode says, that's great to Freddie. Awesome. Hafiez says, oh my, Burgett just unlocking a memory of mine. We had a cuckoo clock too with the pine cones hanging. Cuckoo, cuckoo, twice. Yes, Bob. Yeah, it was kind of wild. I guess the weights slowly went down, and that's what, like the clock didn't plug into the wall or take batteries. So very, very cool. Lolly says, thanks for your answer, Bob. No problem. John says, hey, Bob, or hi, Bob. No question today. As always, I'm having fun in the chat and listening to English as much as I can. About the baby, everything is fine with my wife's pregnancy. Good to hear. I hope things keep going well. Let's see. A few people just chatting. Let me go to the form and look for another question. There isn't one. So that means I should have a sip of water and try to think about, did the cuckoo clock go cuckoo 11 times when it was 11 o'clock? I don't remember. My grandfather also had a grandfather clock, and it chimed once for every hour. Like it would go bong, bong, bong if it was 3 o'clock. And that was weird when you were sleeping there because it would do it at night as well. I think some people stop their grandfather clock at night so it doesn't make that sound. John says to Wanda, by the way, Sound of Silence is a great song. Oh, yes, is a song by Simon and Garfunkel, for sure. Mode says, do you call those waves breakers? So when I go to the beach, if there are waves hitting the sand, usually we just call them waves. But if the waves are hitting like rocks, we usually call them breakers. If you go out along the big rocks on the shore, there will be waves that break against the rocks. I'm not sure if that's the official definition, Mode, but I would not call the waves hitting the sandy beach breakers. But if they were hitting a rocky shore with big rocks, I would call those breakers for sure. And that reminds me, I haven't been to the lake for a while. I should do a lesson out by the lake at some point this year. John Wedge says, oops, sorry, song. Yes, I read it as song because it was behind on my screen. The word was behind the heart that's on my chat. Hafiez says, cuckoo, cuckoo represents each. So cuckoo, 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 cuckoo for 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. Yeah, because the little bird would go, cuckoo, cuckoo. Like when I mean that, it came out on a little board and then it went forward, the cuckoo. I'll have to find a video of a cuckoo clock. So Bridget, thank you for asking about cuckoo clocks. I think people are enjoying this. Another question from the chat from John. Good morning, teacher. Happy with the new class time. Do you paint your hair? No. So we generally use the verb to color. Do you color your hair? Or to dye? Do you dye your hair? So I don't color my hair. I could, if I wanted to be like if I wanted it more this color, I could probably dye my hair or color my hair to look a little younger. But, you know, I'm more of a, when you start to go gray, just go gray. I'm not going to worry too much about the color of my hair. I'm not trying to impress anyone anymore. Freddie says, like we say, there are none so deaf as those who will not listen to someone or something. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. Some people just don't listen when you tell them how to do something, even when you know a really good way to do it. Let's see. Wanda and John having a chat. Very cool. And then Ralph thanking Bridget for the cuckoo clock reference. I had forgotten about cuckoo clocks as well. Hafiez, I like the salt and pepper hair, Bob. I don't even know what salt and pepper hair means. Well, it means salt and pepper. So pepper is, it depends on what spices you use. In North America, it's common to use salt and pepper. If I have an egg, I put salt and pepper on it. Salt is white, right? And then pepper here is usually black pepper. So when they say salt and pepper, they mean both colors are represented. John says, I'm becoming more and more salt and pepper. Yes, that does tend to happen as life goes on. Okay, let me have a sip of water and we will get back to the lesson. Let's finish this up. Oh yeah, this will finish up nicely. We'll be done in about 10 minutes, so that'll be nice. A dog barking. Again, this can be a good thing. If a stranger comes to your house, you might hear a dog barking. It might be your dog barking because they don't like the stranger and they want to stop them from coming into your house. But sometimes you're just trying to enjoy a quiet moment. Sometimes I'm trying to take a nap. And then because I hear someone driving in, I will also hear a dog barking. One of my dogs barking. They bark quite a bit. And it's like, this is Walter. He's like, arroo, arroo. He has like this really loud bark, which wakes me up. Oscar is a lot more like, like it's like a sharp bark. But Walter is definitely, like he sounds like a hound dog almost sometimes. But the sound of a dog barking, annoying if you're trying to sleep, good if you're trying to keep strangers off your property or from coming into your apartment. Once again, I forgot to turn off members only chat. I will do that right now. There we go. I did that last week as well. And then John Wedge reminded me. Oh, Mode says, Bob did it again. He forgot to turn off the chat. Yes, thank you for reminding me when I do that. It is nice to have, I'll usually look over to see if there are any more members only questions. And then usually one of you will let me know. But yeah, let's get back to the dogs barking and the people driving in. Someone driving in. So when you live in a house and if someone is coming over, you will sometimes listen because you want to hear if they are driving in. When you hear someone driving in, you hear their tires kind of like they go across the stones in your driveway or even on pavement. When we order something from Amazon, then the next day we listen for someone driving in. We listen for the sound of someone driving in because then we know that our package has arrived. A mouse scurrying. So that's the sound like this. Let me do it on the mic. Let me see if that actually worked. So it's very, I'm just listening. Yeah, I don't know if I can quite capture it. I'll do it extra loud. So the sound of a mouse scurrying is not a nice sound. It means you have a mouse in your house, to use a little bit of a rhyme. Sometimes in the fall, we will hear a mouse scurrying across our kitchen floor from another room because in the fall, that's when mice try to get into the house. So we set mouse traps because we don't like mice in the house. But the sound of a mouse scurrying is the sound of the mouse like running across your floor. It's a very quiet sound. It's very hard to hear. And it's never a nice sound to hear a mouse scurrying across the floor. Never nice. A mouse clicking, on the other hand, is this sound. Can't even see my finger move, can you? When my son plays video games, you hear a mouse clicking. You hear it a lot. You don't hear it too much when I'm doing my lessons because I use the keyboard more. So you hear someone typing more often than a mouse clicking. But when you use a mouse, you point at what you want and then you either click or double click the mouse. So you might click or double click the mouse in order to select what you want. This is a common sound when you're teaching a computer class, when you're teaching graphic design, because students will often use a mouse to do graphic design. In a normal computer class, students just use the touchpad. But yes, you might hear a mouse clicking. Someone typing. This is how my head moves when I'm typing. Can you guys hear the typing? Let's see. But yeah, I have a really loud keyboard. Oh yeah, you can hear that. So this computer actually has an old keyboard from one of my sons, which is a mechanical gaming keyboard that they didn't need anymore. So it's quite loud actually, but you might hear the sound of someone typing in another room. Maybe they're sending a message to someone. Maybe they're a student and they're writing a paper for a class, and you hear them typing. You hear them using their keyboard to put words onto the screen. A radio blaring. I think the older you get, the more annoying this is. But actually yesterday at market, someone had their radio blaring. When you use the verb blare, to blare, it's louder than you would like. So you might hear a radio playing at the beach, and that might be enjoyable. When you hear a radio blaring at the beach, it means it's probably too loud and you don't like the music. Sometimes young people drive their cars down the street and they have the radio blaring. They have the windows down. Maybe they've installed a really loud radio in their car and they have the radio blaring. So it definitely, you wouldn't say blaring unless you don't like the sound. Like that definitely means you don't like the sound. Oh, my neighbor has their radio blaring all the time. It's so annoying. So basically a radio that is really loud, we would use the word blaring. I'm going to do this sound effect. I don't know if you'll like it. It's not how I chew. I chew with my mouth closed, but sometimes people will take a bite of something and you'll just hear this chewing sound, and it's not a very nice sound. I'm not sure what the custom is in your country. In Canada, the custom is you chew with your mouth closed. That is considered polite. So you take a bite of food, you keep your lips closed, and you chew your food with your mouth closed. But the sound of a person chewing, I know it sometimes takes a while to teach children to chew with their mouth closed. Yeah, I know it drives Jen crazy if one of our kids chews with their mouth open. She doesn't like the sound of chewing. So I forgot to mention this when we were talking about pleasant sounds. I love the sound of rain. This is probably one of the common sounds that I enjoy the most. I like the sound of wind rustling through the leaves of a tree. I like the sound of rain. I like being outside when I can hear one or both of those sounds. The sound of rain is just nice. It's pleasant. It's a little bit like the whir of a fan. It's quite pleasant to listen to, and I quite enjoy it. So the sound of rain. So I love the sound of rain. Maybe I should have put that as the phrase, like, because you could say, I hate the sound of a person chewing. I like the sound of rain. Hey, that's the lesson. Let me see if there are any questions to answer. There probably are. There aren't. Wow, you guys are going to let me go to work early today. Let me check the chat though. Key Park says, sound of a dog barking is different in the world while cat meowing is the same. Yes. I noticed that when people describe that, it is different. Hafia says, the mice here don't look as cute as the slides. No, that's not what our mice look like either. They're a little more sinister looking. Let's see. You can hear the clickety clack of your mechanical keyboard. Yeah. And I wasn't even pressing the keys all the way down. Like if I pressed, I don't want to press any. Let me press a like that's the shift key. Oh, now it wants to turn on sticky keys. No, I don't want to do that. Let's see. John says, in Portuguese, the dog barking is ow ow or oh oh. Balance says farting is a kind of sound. Yes, definitely is. Hopefully it's not a common sound where you are. Gong gong for here. Oh yeah. It might depend on the kind of dog you have, right? Key Park says in China, it's wong wong. It's amazing funny how cultures are different for sounds of everything. Yes. Dogs have different languages, says John. Yes, for sure. Hey, I think we're done here. I'm going to wrap up this lesson. Thank you for watching, all of you that were able to attend. I forgot to mention at the beginning, thank you for coming an hour early. This will be the normal time going forward. We do, however, have time change in a few months, so that might mess you up a bit. But I teach in the mornings this semester, so it means I do need to leave for work at 8:25 every day. So we will be doing these lessons at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This lesson will come out in a shorter version in a couple days. Be sure to watch it. But if you want to attend another live stream, there will be one tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You may ask me any questions you want about the English language, and I will try to answer them. We will most likely be outside, but no promises. If the weather is bad, we will be in here. But yeah, tomorrow's the first Saturday in September, so we will be doing a live lesson outside. Last Saturday was August 31st, right? Yeah, because it's the 6th today. Okay. Anyways, thanks for watching. Have a good day, everyone, and enjoy your weekend. Hopefully it goes really well. Bye. Oh, I should say bye to actual people, right? Bye to Lolly Lolly, Figu, Burgett, Yaboa, Emily, Mohammed, Keypark, Vitor, Cat Diary, John Wedge, Ulia, Mode Eggs, Hafiez, Herta, John Wedge, Balance, Kevin, Oron, Gazeb, Pietro, Zoza, Wanda Prado. I think I've got most of you. I know Ruslan's in here. Unsel's in here somewhere. I think I saw, oh, Andras, bye to you as well. Ralph, Ulia. Bye, everybody. Have a good day. I'm going to go to work now. It's a little more of a relaxing day, but I do have to go to work, so bye.